I am Becca Rue, and this is Rue's Musings. I've been thinking a little bit about a college graduation speech that I heard. I forget who it was that actually said this. I think it was the guy who wrote for Hillary Clinton. Doesn't matter. But I watched a college graduation speech, and one of the things that they said I thought was really interesting was that people don't often say at college graduation speeches, don't warn you about the dreadful monotony of adult life. And I was like, wow, that isn't really talked about. And I think compared to our education / life before college, where you're changing classes every year and you're, all the stuff is happening as you're growing up, and your future is bright and shiny and all possibilities. And then when we get to my age, 30 something, we've kind of decided a lot of our life, and potentially decided much of it, meaning that if we have chosen a career that we're most likely going to stick with for the rest of our lives, chosen a partner, then started to have a family, and your kids, that these are things that you've signed on for the rest of your life. And this every day sort of looks very similar. I think that can be one of our challenges of being an adult, of being alive, being a human, especially in this society. Coupled with the knowledge that being active, exercising, being physical in our bodies is sort of paramount to being healthy. Then we have to choose an exercise to do also for the rest of our lives, which to me feels a little daunting, particularly in the framework of like going to the gym. I used to work out in the gym a fair amount when I was younger, and day one I'm like, this is awesome, like I'm pumped up and this is great, and day 5 I'm like, wow, this is the same things. It's the same action, the same repetition. Maybe you add a little bit of weight, but you're in the same room with the same types of people. And at least in that atmosphere, I had a really hard time envisioning, okay, I can do this for the rest of my life. I can come to this gym and pump this weight or pull this machine, whatever it is, for the rest of my life. In walks, for me at least, the yoga practice. And I am me. I say this a fair amount in these videos. So I live yoga, eat, sleep, breathe, teach, career yoga. So I'm teaching yoga all the time, and when I'm teaching classes, I get a little bit concerned for my students that they're being similar. And there's nothing wrong inherently with the same yoga practice every day. That's how many of the styles of yoga are designed. But for me personally, that's when this monotony of for the rest of your life gets a little daunting. To do the exact same sequence of poses for every day for the rest of your life, I'm like, oh, that seems like a lot. So how I choose to practice is to vary it up, and I try to vary it up for my students as well. And one of my students, Miss Molly, reflected back to me in class this last week. She's like, Becca, your classes are never the same, that they're always different, and that's one of the reasons that we keep coming. And I'm not exactly sure how many yoga postures there are, 800-ish, I don't know, a bunch. And inside of variations, there's a bunch of those variations. And I am just so excited, even when I get scared. Like, there are times when I'm teaching when I'm like, there's no pose that I could teach right now that I haven't taught 7 times yesterday, which isn't true, but it feels like that sometimes. But then when we're practicing together, and I realize that the sky's sort of the limit, and that I feel my body being like, thank you, especially if it's been a few days, just to move again in this way, to be embodied. So that's part of what I want to really hit home in this musing is the practice of yoga. Sure, it makes you stronger and it makes you more flexible and creates healthy joints and muscles in your body, absolutely. But more so, it's just a practice of being with yourself, of knowing yourself and being with yourself only to be with yourself, which I know horrifies some of us because being with ourselves is a scary notion. But if you don't want to be with you, I don't know who else does. That I think we should want to be with ourselves. That makes sense. So there's some work maybe that we have to do there. But it is just such a pleasure. Yesterday we were doing our group practice, and I tried a pose I'd never done before. For the first 4 or 5 times I tried it, I didn't get to do it. And then the 5th time it was a clunky, awkward, horrible mess, but I did it. And I was like, yes! And that's 10, 12 years into a yoga practice. I'm trying a pose for the first time. And this is practicing every day. And I get to do it, and there's that triumph of like, holy cow, I'm not 26 anymore, and still that this is possible, and we get to share in it together. So if you have found your physical activity for the rest of your life that makes you feel happy, awesome, sincerely awesome, rock star, go you. If you haven't, again, this is where I'm here to say, maybe yoga, because I can sign on. I know, barring some accident or death, that I will be 80 years old and I will be practicing yoga for sure. I'm positive. I'll bet you $50 right now. Pinky swear, let's do it. Yoga's magnificent. The practice of just being with yourself and to feel that you have a body and to love your body for exactly what it is and how it moves and how you move through it. It's just like the layers are so juicy. Do you want to try it? Forever? Till you die? Yes! Let's do it. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.